I want to thank University of Houston students for thinking of me for their project. They are looking to talk with some journalists that are in the business now and asking them a few questions. So I figured the fastest way would just be if I made a quick video and answered some of these questions. So first one, what advice would you give to young aspiring journalists? Well, I would say, I think that when you first start out, the doors will be closed on you more often than not. So if you can just have that resiliency, have that hunger and that fire, try not to let it get put out, right? So if all you're hearing is no to your first job, no to, this internship because you don't have enough experience, that sort of thing. No is a part of the industry. The answer no is going to come more often than the answer yes. And you just have to try to realize that it may not be about you. Most of the time, it's not going to be about you. It's going to be about what the news director is looking for. And they may not be looking for you or, your style or your type of look. And so just know that when you get turned down, it's not the end of the world. You have to keep working, you have to keep moving, and you have to keep looking for other opportunities. So don't let that get you down, especially in the news industry, show business. That's probably the biggest piece of advice when you're first starting out. How do you manage to keep up with all your social media accounts? Do you plan your content in advance? Good question. Well, you just have to kind of go along your day and know that you have to post several times a day in order to keep your numbers up and keep your content up to date and kind of relevant. So I keep it in the back of my mind throughout the day. So if it's a story that I'm covering, I know that I'm going to need to post to social media. So I have it in the back of my mind. And don't necessarily plan it, but it's there. I know that I have to do it every day, several times a day. It's same thing with personality posts because it seems as though that's the next question that people actually want to know more about you versus maybe the story that you're covering. They want to know what you like to do in your free time. They want to know maybe where you like to go, that sort of thing. So I think more of the posts that are related to my personality do better than any other posts that I tend to spend more time on. But it has to be balanced, right? So you want to have both. You want to be able to scroll through your social media accounts and see that there are not just all hard news stories or all fluffy stories or all pictures of you, that sort of thing. When it comes to my Instagram, though, I just typically only post personality posts on my Instagram because I use Twitter and Facebook to post everything, like a mix of everything. Okay, what's your next? The next one is, what are some tips you'd give to journalists operating as a one-man, one-woman show? For example, editing, shooting, and B-roll. Well, when I first started, I was a one-woman show. And it was those big $30,000 cameras that were, 40 pounds and then another 30-pound tripod. And so I remember, and it was in the freezing cold in upstate New York. And I'd have to shoot outside and my hands would be frozen. So I remember, but I think the best advice to being successful is to prioritize your time and to be able to troubleshoot. So if you come across a problem, because you're going to have problems and you're going to have issues and you got to figure it out yourself, right? Because you're all alone. And you can call back at the station, but everybody's running around in the, smaller operations. Everybody's busy. So if you can really practice on your free time to get your editing faster, to be able to find faster ways that, that you can turn your story, turn your package even quicker. So you're always going to be up against the clock. Remember that. That's your deadline. And you are going to need to find ways to be able to get faster at doing your job. So I don't know if this is relevant today, but back when I would shoot video, I would shoot in camera, right? So a good VO is you have a tight shot, you have a wide shot, you have a medium shot, and you would do like maybe 4 or 5 seconds for each shot. And so instead of having to edit that when I got back to the station in my camera, I would shoot a wide shot and I'd hold it for 4 seconds. I'd shoot a medium shot and I'd hold it for 4 seconds. I'd zoom in 4 seconds until I had a 30-second VO. So when I got back to the station, I could just slap that baby in, and then I'd have time to cut the VO set. But find what works for you, make yourself really fast, and be able to solve your problems. If you can do those things, then you'll be like a machine. You'll be great because you can do it all with your kind of with your eyes closed. But yeah, that's going to make you much better. One-man banding for sure was an experience that I will never forget for sure. Let's see. How do you decide between posting personal photos and work-related social media posts? I mix it up. I just do. I do all day, every day. If I have different stories that I'm covering, or if I have different links to our websites, I'll just post them, and I'll post them every it depends. I'll post them every few hours. If I have time, I will schedule them. And then other days, I'm just so crazed that I post when I remember to post, because you're actually out working and collecting your story and shooting video and doing interviews, that some days you just are like, oh my gosh, I forgot to post. I gotta, post a few things. But you mix it up. You want to have personality posts and you want to have your news stories. You want to be kind of balanced, and then share some things that you just come across and think are interesting. Because people like to connect and they want to connect with you and they want to hear what you're about. And so if that's a different way to strike up a conversation, then that's how you'll reach more people, because they'll be interested in that. Let me see. Social media. How has social media presence changed since beginning your journalism career? Well, almost 18 years ago, there was no social media. We had MySpace and Facebook, but at that time, it was only for, Facebook was only for college students, and no news industry had social media. So as the years changed, when I first started, we had to morph with the social media train. And okay, now we're posting, now we're sharing our news stories. Now we have to, write for the web and write for the people that aren't going to be watching the news at 6:00 at night, because everybody's on their phones or everybody's on social media. So I think since it's cool that I've been there from the beginning till now, because it's changed the entire time that I've been doing this. It's changed. It started where it wasn't there, and now it's just as important as your newscasts. Some days even more important, because take that winter storm, for example. It knocked out power and it knocked out service to certain providers. So people weren't able to get information unless they had their service and they had their internet up. So social media was where a lot of people were looking for information and for posts about what was going on. So yeah, it's interesting to see how it has changed over the years and how the news has adapted to it and made it a focus. Because again, it's just as important as getting those newscasts built and out there for people to see as well. Where do you take inspiration for your social media presence, and how do you interact with your audience? Well, I am a big, I like to be more personal, and really connect with viewers. Everybody's different, right? Everybody's different. But for me, I think that people really want to connect with you and they want to know you as a person. And I have found that the more that I do that and the more that I share more of my life and my thoughts, the more people want to connect and the more that people will write and share messages and that sort of thing. So that's what I have found works for me. But again, you could be a totally different person. Well, you are, and a totally different style and thoughts and ideas. And that's the cool thing about social media, is that there's room for everyone and everything. So you just got to find out what works for you and find out what you like to do and what you like to share and what people respond to. And then, it takes years. It takes years really to figure out your formula. But once you do, and once you have your following, they'll be there and they'll want to always say hello and connect with you. So that's the cool thing about social media. And I think that is it for the questions. So I hope you guys have learned. I've been talking for 10 minutes. I'm going to upload this video and share the link with you guys, but hopefully I answered all your questions. Keep working hard. And if you have any more questions, you can email me at sojeda, that's SOJEDA @kprc.com.